Welcome back to the Chosen Life podcast with your host, Jonathan A. Hacohen, the author of the Bible 3.0, the 6 Commandments to a Chosen Life. I am the guest today, Elena Saradidis, and we are talking all things team building.
You got it. So this is making my life very easy because I have already filmed hundreds of Chosen Life podcast episodes. I'm always introducing as the host, introducing my co-host. And Elena, we just did some team building over there where you got to take my role, take it on, and make my life easy. Man, it comes down to it, even for us type A's that we're control freaks, we want to do everything ourselves. When you get the right team together and you help split up the duties, it's funny how easy life becomes, isn't it?
100%. So
your team, right? The Elena Saradidis group, the Elena Saradidis team, love them, growing. The mind shift from being Elena, rookie superstar in the industry when you first started off, to team leader today. How was that shift, and when did you first know in your mind, early on in this real estate industry as a realtor, I'm going to have a team?
Okay, well, the best thing to say is I didn't always know. It kind of grew with time. So year one, I was in the industry. I just honestly wanted to make ends meet. I'm like, if I do not make a certain kind of income in this industry, I shouldn't be in it. That's the mindset that I had. I was like, I need to figure out how to get there. And if I don't get there, I could do any other job. That's 9 to 5, my weekends off, my summers off, whatever it may be. This was not the job if I couldn't make a certain amount of income. That was year one. Year two, I was like, I need an admin. I'm not as organized as everyone seems to think I am. I need someone to organize me. Year two, I joined an admin on my team. After that, I realized the workload was getting heavier. The admin couldn't do it themselves. Second admin came in. So I was running with 2 admin before I decided to start a team. And I think that's what people need to remember. You don't start a team for the sake of starting a team. You start a team because you want to help people grow or you want to make more money. Those are the 2 options. It's very hard to find a team that is very profitable and very team-oriented with no, I don't want to say no turnover, but very little turnover. So it's very hard to get that. So what I would say is eventually I grew to the point where I couldn't service my clients properly to the level of service that I like giving them by myself. I needed another agent. So I switched companies. I moved over to Roller Page because they allowed me to be able to build a team. There's a lot of teams there. There's a reason why teams go to bigger offices, and it's because they provide a level of support that you don't really get at the boutique offices. And don't get me wrong, I love my boutique office that I started at. I'll give them credit where it's due. So I moved over, I started a team, and I had a lot of trouble picking who to be on my team. Mm-hmm. Did I tell you this story?
You did not. So let's talk about it now on the air.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So Chris Lydham, the owner and broker of record for Roller Page Signature, he knew I wanted to start a team from the moment I moved over. He knew it from day one. I interviewed with him and told him I want to start a team. How are you going to help me get there? And one day or 2 days into me being at the new office, I go upstairs and I'm like, where are the agents? I need someone to help me with something. And they said, well, the new agents don't really come in. I go, well, that's not helpful. And I turned around to Chris 2 days later and said, I'm starting a team. I'm interviewing people. Let me know where to start. And he basically told me this is what you should do. I said, sounds great. Took that, ran. I interviewed a bunch of people. I narrowed it down to 3. I either picked the agent that has never been in the industry before. She's never done a transaction in her life. She's never done anything, any paperwork, nothing.
As green as
can be. The agent that's been in the industry part-time for a year. Hasn't really done anything, but I don't want part-time agents. But her and I had a great vibe. Or the agent that's been in it for 2 years, that I know she has a spark. I can see it. She's going to be good. But she already knows what she's doing. Why is she joining a team? And I actually asked her that in the interview. I said, I don't think you necessarily need a team. I think you need a different office. I said, I think you need to go home, think about if you actually want to be on a team, because I'm building something long term. And if you want to be here, then be here. But if you don't want to be here or your plan is to use this to pivot, I'm not the right team for you. She took the time. She came back and she said, no, I really want to be on your team. So I had a dilemma. Who do I pick? So I go to Chris and I go, I was going to only hire 1, but I think I'm going to hire 2. And he goes, okay, test them. Like send them on different tasks, see who passes, see who fails. This is a whole process.
Yeah.
You can ask one of them. Like she went on a 2-hour car ride to London, Ontario, 2 hours back too, with me in the car. So I could figure out if I could actually work with her or want to spend that much time with her.
Sounds like the Amazing Grace to me.
To be on the team. Yeah, no, it was a process.
Yeah.
And I think they appreciate that too, because they know it wasn't just like the doors open, come on in. It was like, let's figure out if you're the right fit. So I come back to Chris the day after and I'm like, listen, I tested them all. They all passed. I don't know what to do. I'm going to hire 2 out of the 3. He goes, okay. The next day I come back, I said, I hired all 3. And he goes, what? I go, yeah, I hired all 3. I didn't know which one. So I figured I hire all 3. And if they don't survive, then they don't survive.
Yep.
Like I'll let them back out into the ocean. He's like, okay, you figure it out. And I don't, like, I'm knocking on wood, like everything that we can find. I know you told me not to knock on the table, but I'm knocking on the table.
We'll allow it this time.
You'll allow it. I found an incredible group of women that work well together, and we all genuinely enjoy hanging out with each other. It's a great team. It's a fantastic team. Then I have a couple senior agents that have joined on afterwards. But the team dynamic as a whole is very collaborative, and it's all hands on deck. If we're staging at midnight, we're staging at midnight. Everyone's there. That's the expectation. But it's not an expectation that I say it to them and they come. It should be, we're staging tonight. Everyone just show up.
You just feel it. You just know it.
Yeah.
It's funny, for the amount of time that I'm helping run a law firm and seeing how the HR dynamic works and everything like that, you put a job posting out and you get a bunch of resumes in. And you sit there with your partner and you say, wow, there's so many good candidates here. What are we going to do? How are we going to pick from them? It's so funny because it's so different now than it was 10, 20 years ago. So people send a resume. It's one thing to even get them to schedule to come for an interview. And once you schedule the interview, they have to show up for the interview. Then they show up for the interview. Do they interview well? Once they interview well, do you want to extend them an offer? Do they want to accept the offer? They accepted the offer. Even, Elena, you make it this far, okay? You made it through all the stage where you got 50 resumes, you loved 10 of them, you got 5 people in for interviews, one person really stood out, you had such a great interview, you went back and forth on the offer, they even signed the offer. There's still no guarantee they'll even show up on their first day of work. This is where we're at in life. So when you're telling me, I wasn't sure between the 3 and then I just end up hiring all 3, you are very, very lucky, my dear, because there are some people that I have met in my industry as a lawyer, and I thought, wow, these are going to be the biggest stars ever. Can't wait to get them working on my team. We had such a good vibe. And whatever the reason, yeah, you know what? I don't really want to come into the office at all. Yeah, I want 6 weeks vacation. Yeah, I want double the amount of pay. Like people the ones that especially are green and haven't done it, they watch things on TV and they say, I want it right now. I don't want to earn it. Just give it to me today. Pay me on what I'm going to be able to do in 10 years from now. And not as many people want to earn their stripes, So when you find those people that are prepared to earn those stripes and care, kudos to you.
Don't get me wrong. There were roadblocks. It doesn't just happen. I didn't assemble this dream team and there were rock stars from the start. That's, insanity.
Yeah.
It took time. We built this, but we built it all together. But we built it. The expectation is people show up. If you're not at the office, then you're with a client. If you're not with a client, you're at the office.
So Elena, I want to present to you a scenario. You got somebody out of school, new realtor, new lawyer. Back in the 70s and 80s, you'd go and start off your own business. I'd open up my own law practice. I'm going to open up my own brokerage. I don't have 1 day worth of experience. I'm just going to figure it out on the fly. When we're sitting here now in the year 2024, one of the things I would say to those people starting off, don't be afraid of collaborating and working with a team. Imagine going into a place where you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's structure, there's discipline, there's systems in place. All you got to do is learn the systems, get experience, and get ahead. And for some people, they're very happy to be in a team for their whole existence. They work better in team. They don't want to be on their own. I used to think that in my mentality, I've always had this innate need to be a leader. I don't want to follow. I want to create those systems. I want to create those precedents. I want to take charge. And I used to think everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants that. Not everybody needs that. Some people are very happy to say, hey, I don't want to have the final call on this. I don't want to create the system. I just want to come, do, put in my effort, and help others. And you know what? That's not a bad thing at all.
Well, I think what we have to come down to, especially when it comes to real estate teams, is we have no retirement plan. We have no pension. We have no sick days. We have no whatever. So you have a client and your kid has soccer practice. Are you going to the showing or are you going to soccer practice? I'd like to say I'm going to soccer practice. But guess what? If you don't go to the showing and the deal doesn't happen, you don't get paid. You don't get paid, you can't pay for food or your mortgage or anything. So the team for me stemmed from a place of, eventually I want to have kids. I want to have a family. I want to have a full life. I want to travel. Eventually, I want to have all these things. How do I have all these things and still maintain my business? How do I get to go to a soccer practice and my client still gets to go to the showing? Start a team. So in my mind, and this is why my team is all female, it stemmed from that growing pattern of eventually, they say women can't have it all, but guess what? We can figure out a way to have it. Yeah. So let's figure out a way to have it. It's by working together. So I assembled a group of women that, some of them have kids, some of them are married, some of them are whatever. And they all have different things. Some of them want to travel. If you want to go away for a week, why can't you go away? You're not going to make any money if you go away. That's why. So if you can go away and I'll take care of you and you'll come back and you'll take care of me and vice versa and we'll all just take care of each other. That's a great thing. Like yesterday, I went and did some showings for one of my agents. Yep. She was like, who's free at 2? No one was free at 2. I said, I will go for you. Sometimes life happens and we don't ever want the client to suffer because our life happened.
But the thing is, we have such an advantage over where we were 20, 30 years ago. So there's certain things we have to do in person, but there's so much we're able to do virtually as well. Unless we're in the Arctic or we're on a cruise that has the worst Wi-Fi possible, for most of us as professionals, especially running your own business, you're still connected 24/7. Those panic attacks from the clients, late night emails, whatever it is, we are still reachable and we're answering it the same way, whether we're in Toronto, Arizona, or Panama, let's say. And so there is a big advantage if you're prepared to put in time, coming from our last episode and talking about, failing and how to be able to get ahead. And it comes down to, are you putting in the hours? Are you putting your best effort in? And when you're able to do that and still have that team to support you, so when you have that soccer practice or you have that doctor's appointment, for that one time you can't be in person, someone is there in person. I think, for the other lawyers in our law firm, I'm here talking to you right now and interviewing. If there's a file going on right now and there's an issue that pops up, there's another lawyer to jump in and not, Jonathan's taping right now, he's not available for a couple hours. It's not acceptable. If you do really want to get ahead, you can't do it all on your own. You do have to have that team, period.
And not just that, even one of my team members recently, she was on vacation. All through her time on vacation, she was still prospecting, she was still writing up offers, she was still doing everything she could humanly do virtually, but she wasn't doing showings. Who was doing showings? The rest of the team for her. So she can continue to work. It's hard, you can't fully step back. It's very, very difficult and not drop the ball. Your clients still need to be serviced.
The other thing about teams, which I'm going to throw in there, and you know what I'm talking about, and all of you listening, I know you know what you're talking about. If you've ever worked in a company of 3 people or more, let's say you're working 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, whatever it is, and you have 28 people of the same mindset, and you have 2 bad apples. You have the people that are not toting the company line, doing their own thing, going nomad, speaking poorly on other people, shit disturbing. You put 1 or 2 of those into the equation, it's amazing how much that affects the team dynamic. And being able to figure out the root of it and not having it pollute others and not having it affect the team can be a big challenge. And that's where also I'm going to throw in there, the bigger you grow and the bigger the team, the more likelihood you're going to have that one bad apple, and one bad apple can ruin the whole crop.
Well, there's a saying that it's like you have A players, and if you put a B player next to an A player, the B player will actually perform better, but the A player's performance will come down. So every meeting, I literally say, don't be the B player in the room. Yeah. I only want A players on this team. If you're an A player, there's a spot for you. there's no spot for Bs. We can't afford them.
But they say also the strength of the team is a measure of the weakest person. And when you can easily measure out who the weakest person on the team, you can see how it drags down statistics for the whole team. But one thing I'll say from experience wise, a lot of mistakes that leaders make is when they identify that B person, they pigeonhole them as a B person, and they decide to discard them because it's not working. It's amazing how many B people are B people because you're having them do tasks which are not to their strengths. And you say, whoa, wait a minute here. You're not very good at this. That's okay. It's not your strongest point. Let's pull this away from you, bring it to somebody who's strong in that area, put things in your wheelhouse that are in your strength. It's amazing how you can transform a B person into an A person very easily if you are able to put in the time, measure their strengths, and help them work towards their strengths.
I would agree, giving people a chance is a thing, but there's two ways of doing it. It's you put someone on a performance improvement plan, which you know this. I've had this conversation with you.
Performance improvement plan. Yeah, I think you put me on a performance improvement plan
No,
the first
I
3
did
months
not.
to measure me out to make sure I was okay. And then I passed probation.
Gosh. But it's basically putting someone on a PIP, and it's when they're not performing to the ability that you need them to be performing at. You lay out exactly what you need from them, and you set a timeline. If by that timeline they haven't figured it out, they're off the team, or they're off, like they're not working at the same company anymore, or there's something. But you have to dictate exactly what needs to be done, give them an opportunity to improve, and if they don't improve, then they're gone. Or you do the sacrificial lamb, where you're like, you know what? Something is getting messed up in this circle. I need to get rid of one so they understand that if you are this way, there is no space for you here. There's two different ways. And like, again, I am obsessed with PIPs right now. Obsessed with PIPs. Because it works. Like they either rise to the occasion or they don't. And if they rise to the occasion, fantastic. You have another A player. It's amazing. So yeah, I'm all about the PIPs, performance improvement plans.
Have you ever watched the movie Glengarry Glen Ross?
Love it. Coffee's for closers.
Coffee is for closers. So we're going to have a little sales contest today. First prize is going to be a Cadillac DeVille. Second prize, set of steak knives. Third prize, you're fired. Pretty extreme, but the point has gotten across, is it not?
It has.
And this is where, I've watched a lot of shows where they talk about this, that we've come to an age of our society where everybody gets a participation ribbon. Everybody gets a trophy because it's not fair. But the reality is, when we're teaching people, there's no first, second, third place. Not having people strive to succeed. If we're okay with mediocrity and you're rewarding mediocrity, nobody's going to get ahead at the end of the day. They're not going to have that killer instinct. We're not going to have the Olympics. We're not going to have people setting new records. It's a sorry state to say in today's society, but not everybody is equal. The people that have natural talent, work the hardest, they're going to get ahead in most cases. And very often, Elena, I would rather have the hardest worker on my team than the most gifted. Because the most 100%. Gifted, lazy person, it's a shame to see potential getting spoiled. But you know what? I'd rather take less potential and getting the most juice out of it than mediocrity.
Yeah, and you know this too. Like, I'm not a lazy person. Like, I'm very, I will be the first one at the office to this date and the last one to leave. I will be. So when I see someone coasting, it's not favorable for me. Like, I get quite upset by it. The reality is you can't force someone to be an A player. They need to want it too. So if they want it, they can get there. If they don't want it, there's no pushing someone with natural talent to get there. And I've told this to people all the time. Like, there's people that are gifted in this industry, in any industry, that they're born to do it. Like, I am born to do sales. I am. I can sell ice to the Eskimos. I know this. There's a few people on my team that are born to do it. They have, I don't want to say bullshit ability, but they have the gift of being able to talk to people in a way, connect with people in a way. And that connection leads to transactions. And then there's people that will work 10 times harder to get that same quality, to learn how to act the exact same way that the other person was gifted with. And to those people, I always tell them, and again, I have them on my team, You're gonna have to work harder to have the same natural ability that the other person has. But guess what? When you learn it, you'll be 10 times better than they will be because you have the discipline to be able to get there. Discipline is one of the biggest factors in every industry. Wake up, go to work, make your calls. This is an industry that you're self-employed. Like, you make as much as you want to make, but you only make money if you're working. So if you're not disciplined, you don't have your schedule regimented, you're not going to make any money. You don't have any schedule. You don't have any foundation.
And I love that word, discipline. I look at the Bible 3.0 and I look at this book every single time and I think about the amount of discipline it took just to write it and put it out there into the world. But the things I talk about in the book and the discipline I needed, and I still follow those same disciplines. I have my routines at night, my routine in the morning, everything from the water I'm drinking to the food I'm eating to the calls I'm going to make. Everything is regimented in that. And I didn't do it alone. I knew to find the right people to help me in my life, professionally and personally, and help me get ahead with it. I got to ask you, as we're ending today's episode and talking about teams, I think, again, a lot about in real estate. I think about, let's say you got 5 individuals, okay? 5 of the most successful realtors in the GTA, each one working on their own, doing their thing. If those 5 came together and worked as a team, did economies of scale, instead of hiring 5 separate marketing people, instead of hiring 5 separate business card people, instead of whatever it is, coming together, sharing systems, growing together, if we look at that 5 after a year, I bet the sum of the 5 working together is going to be much higher than what they're going to produce individually. What do you think?
I don't disagree. It's collaboration. Collaboration in this industry is the most important thing. Being able to work with other people, being able to collaborate. If you're a top producing agent, I'm a top producing agent, and we're doing a deal together and the deal goes smoothly, the next time I see your name on a listing, oh, I'm more inclined to work with you. You're more inclined to work with me. The deal gets done smoother. We can do more transactions. So working well together is a skill, and leveraging on each other's strengths and each other's weaknesses. It's a skill. Like, not everyone on the team has the same personality. It would be really boring if they did. Everyone has different strengths. There's a reason for it. We need to leverage everyone's strengths. But it all comes down to the same thing. You mentioned that whole competition, Glengarry, Glen Ross.
Yes.
I have a deals board in my office.
I
can't take full credit for it.
I love the deals board.
I used to work at Brad Lamb. Most people know this about me. Brad Lamb had a deal board.
Yep.
And every day when I walked into the office there, and I am a competitive person by nature, I'd look at the board. And I'd be like, clearly I'm either not doing something right, or the market's not good, or I'm doing something right and the market's fantastic. But you could see it all from the board, because if everyone's not doing well, then everyone's not doing well. The market's the issue. But if someone's killing it, like raking in all the deals, we're playing in the same market. How come I'm not killing it? Yeah. So the deals board is the most amazing thing that's happened to my team. I'm sure some of them hate it, some of them love it. But like, I see them looking at the board. It's a thing, it's psychological. If they see other people are doing transactions, they see how many they're doing, they're like, oh wait, I've got to level up. I've got to work harder. And since I put the deal board in, production has gone up. There's competition. I also got a gong.
You got the gong.
Yeah.
And then every time you close a deal, hit
yeah,
the gong?
we ring it. It's a little one off Amazon,
yes.
But it gives them so much excitement. And the way, like, I think competition is a good thing, especially if it's healthy competition. And the way I have it is, if you've done the most transactions on the next listing that I bring to the team, you're going to be agent number 2 on it. So they get another kind of listing under their belt too. They get another listing that they can advertise. They can advertise all the listings, but their name on MLS is a great thing. So it's a competition to an extent, but it's a good competition.
Deal boards, gongs.
And pips.
Pips, teamwork. There's a lot of good tips here today. Elena Saradidis, you've been so fantastic over the last couple of weeks, inspiring us to get ahead in real estate and in life. How are people able to reach you? And is the team still growing? I think it is.
The team is still growing. We're hiring more support staff, and we are always in search of fantastic agents to onboard. But like you've heard in this episode, it's not as easy as just submitting a resume. I will test you. But you can get a hold of me at my email, info@elenasaradidis.com, or through Instagram at elena.saradidis.
She's a superstar. We're lucky to have her. We'll be back next week because we're going to be doing a follow-up with Elena and seeing how she's been following the 6 commandments of the chosen life. And she knows what we're going to be talking about, her best favorite beverage, but weakness. Stay tuned on that one. This is the Chosen Life Podcast.